My name is Sam St. Sauber, and my lesson plan is on how to measure blood pressure and radial pulse. My audience is my husband, my dad, and my mom. So some things you want to keep in mind before you measure your blood pressure or somebody else's is you're going to want to not smoke, exercise, or drink caffeine for 30 minutes before. You're going to want to have an empty bladder and sit quietly for 5 minutes. Sit with your back straight and supported with your feet flat on the floor. Don't cross your legs. You're going to want to take it at the same time every day. Don't measure it over clothing, so wear a short sleeve shirt. And you may want to take it 2 to 3 times with 1 minute apart between to establish an average reading for yourself. Here is a chart on the different stages of hypertension and what normal blood pressure readings should be. So the first beat or the top number in a blood pressure is called the systolic, and the last beat or the bottom number is called the diastolic. So for a normal blood pressure, the systolic should be less than 120 and the diastolic should be less than 80. If your blood pressure is elevated, the systolic would be 120 to 129 and diastolic would be less than 80. Hypertension stage 1 would be systolic 130 to 139 or diastolic 80 to 89. Hypertension stage 2 would be systolic 140 or higher and diastolic of 90 or higher. And then a hypertensive crisis would be a medical emergency. So if your blood pressure for systolic was higher than 180 or your diastolic was higher than 120, you would want to seek medical care. This is a diagram of where you would properly place the blood pressure cuff and the stethoscope. So most blood pressure cuffs come with, they'll either say where the artery should be or they'll have arrows. So you're going to want to place it right above the artery, and then these should just lay flat straight down your arm. And then you're going to take the diaphragm of the stethoscope and just tuck it right on the inside here to listen. Now we're going to watch a short video on how you would read the gauge portion of the blood pressure cuff.
Manual or aneroid equipment includes a cuff, an attached pump, a stethoscope, and a gauge. This equipment requires coordination. It's difficult to use if you're hearing or visually impaired, or if you're unable to perform the hand movements needed to squeeze the bulb and inflate the cuff. When you're ready to take your blood pressure, sit quietly for 3 to 5 minutes beforehand. To begin, place the cuff on your bare upper arm, 1 inch above the bend of your elbow.
This little piece right here you can actually attach the gauge onto if you're going to take somebody else's blood pressure.
You should place it tight enough so that you can only slip 2 fingertips under the top edge of the cuff. Make sure your skin doesn't pinch when the cuff inflates. Once the cuff is on, place the disc of the stethoscope face down under the cuff, just to the inner side of your upper arm. Next, place the stethoscope earpieces in your ears, with the earpieces facing forward, pointing toward the tip of your nose. Rest the gauge in the open palm of the hand of your cuffed arm so that you can clearly see it. Then, squeeze the pump rapidly with your opposite hand until the gauge reaches 30 points above your usual systolic pressure. Stop squeezing. Turn the knob on the pump toward you to let the air out slowly. Let the pressure fall 2 millimeters or lines on the dial per second while listening for your heart sounds. Note the reading when you first hear a heartbeat. This is your systolic pressure. Note when you no longer hear the beating sound. This is your diastolic pressure. Rest quietly. Wait about 1 to 2 minutes before taking another measurement. Record your numbers either by writing the information down or by entering the information into an electronic personal health record.
Okay. back to the PowerPoint. So next, I'm going to teach you guys how to locate where your radial pulse is. So this is the one that they take on your wrist. So if you put your hand out in front of you with your palm up, you're going to go right below your thumb and then before that tendon there, and you'll take your index and your middle finger of your other hand. You only need to apply enough pressure just until you start to feel the beat. And then they recommend that you watch with a clock that has a second hand for a full minute of counting to accurately measure. And here is a picture of the location of where you would find that radial artery and vein. And then here is a chart of some normal heart rate ranges. So you'll notice that men's versus women's runs a little bit higher, and then it will go off of your age and kind of like if you're athletic or what stage of health that you're at will kind of affect what your heart rate will run at. So for the next part of this teaching, I will demonstrate to you how to check a blood pressure, and then I will let you guys practice on yourselves. So Mom, put your arm in there. So like I said, there's directions on here of how to use and where to place. I make sure it's tight enough that you can still fit some fingers under there, but you don't want it to be too loose. I'm just going to have you hold that for right now. And tighten this up, and then you use the stethoscope with these facing outwards. I'm going to place this just right up inside here. So I got 90/60 for your reading. And then I will let you guys practice on each other. So Dad, if you want to practice on Mom, you can come closer over here if you want. Sit in my chair. And then Chris, while you're waiting, I'll teach you while they practice that. If you want to watch the clock on here and practice your radial pulse, you don't need to put that in. Okay. Watch the second hand. You can face this towards yourself, and then go ahead and do like this and watch it for a full minute to count your beats. Did you hear it?
You verified your results.
Okay, now I will have Chris, you can practice the blood pressure on Dad. Mom, I will have you do your radial pulse. Chris, were you able to get your radial pulse?
Yeah, it was 80.
Okay.
Two fingers. Upwards. It went real quick, but it was 110 over 80.
Okay.
Is what I got.
Good job.
No 70.
Okay, Dad, I'll have you check yours, and Mom, I will have you do Chris's blood pressure, and then everybody would have practice.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Journal sheet.
$61. So for my age, I'm
110
almost in
over
the athletic range. 80s and above.
And did you hear that okay, Mom?
80. Yeah, 110 over 80.
Okay, now I have made a little quiz for you guys. This is just to show that you can read the blood pressure gauges. So I'll give you each something to write with in the quiz. So the blue line is the systolic number and the red line is the diastolic or the second number. So based off of these gauges, fill in the blank for what you think the blood pressure reading is. You guys done? Okay. Very good. Everybody got them all right. And so for the first one, based on the chart that we saw, what would you say that blood pressure is? Normal, high, or low?
I'd say high.
Right.
Very high.
And then the second one,
Normal.
and then the last one,
Low.
low. Okay. Very good. Thank you guys for participating in my lesson plan. I hope you found this helpful.